Hey there, Greg here. Today we are going to turn this into this. It's a pretty easy pot if you dabbled with clay before. Not the easiest pottery project out there, but it's nothing too daunting. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's a level 2 pot. It's a good practice for working with clay slabs. The trick is just to find the right consistency to work with. Firm enough to create nice edges, but not too firm so you can still slightly round the slabs. With a simple pot like this, what will make the difference is the quality and care put into the finishing touches. Ready to dive in? Let's do this! I often get asked about the thickness of the slabs I work with. Usually, my clay slabs are between 8 and 10 mm thick for the majority of my pots, never more. But it's not a big deal, it's just the thickness I feel comfortable with. Do the same, work with the thickness that feels right for you. Whoa, hold on! What are you doing? Trying to be the next Michael Bay? No, I asked you to do the video editing, not to remake Armageddon. We're just making a simple little pot here. Keep it more low-key. Please.
Okay, see what I do.
There, that's better. If you don't have the tools to cut angles, you can simply use a cutter. You can also create a 90-degree joint without cutting angles, but I find this approach less clean and less optimal. When you cut angles at 45 degrees, keep the scraps to use for joining the slabs later. I use a serrated rib to score the angles before applying slip, but you can also score the clay with a potter's needle. By the way, I know many of you will ask, I let my clay slab dry for about 4 hours before working with them. But that's just for your information, because it depends on factors like the temperature or humidity level of the room you're working in. The important thing is to have pieces dry enough to stand upright without collapsing, but not too dry so you can still run them without cracking or splitting. This way, when you run the pieces before assembling them, they'll maintain their shape, making assembly easier. When you join the walls, press the edges firmly with 2 fingers while sliding them along the angle. Even though you need to do some finishing touch at the end of construction, try to make the assembly as clean as possible. If you wait, your mistakes will accumulate and they'll be much harder to fix later on. All joints are the weak points of your pottery, so reinforce them by applying a small clay reinforcement at each slab junction. You can press a thin coil of clay into each corner, but the angles cut just before are perfect for this use. If you're struggling to properly flatten your joints, apply a bit of slip over them and wait a few minutes for them to soften slightly. Remove excess slip and clay, and carefully smooth out the joints. Before adding feet while the bottom is still resting on my board, I take the opportunity to make drainage holes in my pots. At this stage, you can do a first finish on the angles and walls. It's meticulous and quite time-consuming to have a perfectly clean and precise piece, but if you've been careful in previous steps, you'll save a lot of time. Now I'm going to cut the feet of the pot. Be sure to use a clay slab with a consistency similar to the clay of your pottery. Don't use fresh clay straight out of the package when your pottery clay has already started to dry. A good tip for progressing and making beautiful pottery is to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. You'll see, it's magical. Check that the top of your pot is even. If not, recut it neatly. Here it's not the case, so I leave it as is. But it's common for larger pots to deform the wall when handling. When attaching these kinds of feet, don't hesitate to use plenty of slip and press firmly over the entire piece to remove excess. This will prevent air bubbles and voids, a recurring issue that causes breakage when water freezes and seeps in. I finish with a small perimeter bend to dress up the pot a bit, but you could easily stop here. There we go, our pot is ready. Now it's time to let it dry slowly before moving on to the first firing. After the first firing, I apply a patina with solution of iron oxide to bring out the details and add richer, less uniform tones.
Well, 40 degrees later.
Go for it. Knock yourself out.